We are now in what is most likely the most comprehensive and also probably the most important module besides your fresh produce and fruit within the Homestead Tracker. And that is managing all of your animals. And with your animals, we're looking specifically at eggs and chickens, dairy, and meat. Those are the primary categories there. But to start us off, let's have a look at what the home page will show us. So when we are on this page on desktop or on mobile, what we can do is we can quickly add an egg collection. So we don't need to keep navigating through the app every time we go and collect eggs in the morning or the afternoon. And we've also got a dairy record where we can have a look at everything that we collected from the dairy records. Alternatively, you can just go into animal management and we have all of our modules nicely listed with icons right there. Just a reminder that you can head over to the preferences page where you can enable, disable sections as well as the individual modules. So if you don't have meat production on your homestead, you can just simply go here and disable meat production down here, and you will be able to then tailor it to your specific needs. But if we start at the beginning, we look through egg production, egg incubation, dairy production, and meat production. Each of these give you the ability to individually manage your animals as well. So there's animal management within these plus production within each of these. So if we start off with eggs, what we have to start off with is chicken management, where we can manage and log all of our chickens. Here we have Bessie and Lemon, and we can see that they're in different stages. One is active, one's molting. If Lemon is finished molting, we just simply come in here and we change her status from molting to active. We update her as a chicken, and we'll see that her status has changed to active. On top of that, we'll see our little card up at the top over here has also changed to 2 active chickens. So far, based on the data we have, we can see over the last 30 days we've collected 411 eggs with a daily average of 13.7. Don't know whether it's the 7, got to crack an egg open for that one. So this is a relatively simple one where we're just managing our eggs. You can see throughout this entire process, you can log an egg at any egg collection at any point in time. Then we have our production records. And much like the rest of the app, our production is grouped by a chicken. So here we decided to just log our eggs, but not log it to a specific chicken. When you log, you get the option to optionally choose a chicken. But for many of us on homesteads, we're not tracking individual chickens, we're tracking flocks. So we could then just say the number of eggs we collected, which you would see over here, it's unknown because it's the full flock. We can then tally up all of our eggs. So we can see totaled 411, and here's all the different entries. And I've just done this so we can see what the data looks like. If you do have a small enough flock and you are tracking per chicken, you'd be able to get a lot more detailed insights into each chicken's performance. You can then track by chicken over here. But ultimately, if we're looking at analytics, we can then have a look at flock performance per chicken, how many eggs per day, how many total eggs. So you get a bit more detail if you are looking at doing production per chicken, but it's not required. You can do it as a batch like this example. Then what we have is our financials. If we add a financial record over here, it's going to pull through once again into our financial management section. So let's have a look. Currently, based on all of our eggs and our amount, our cost per egg is coming out at $109. But if we go to financials, we add a record and we have housing, flock-wide, we're going to add in an extra $100 and we're going to say this is for a new coop. Notes is this was self-built. We're going to add in this record. Then it's going to pull into our financials record here. So we get a total financials record just for our chickens and our egg production. But now if we head over into the cost tracker in financials, we then have our expense logged here against egg production, and we can see it's for a new coop. So our expenses are then automatically tallying up. If we go into analytics, we'll then see egg production is showing up as an expense. Then if we go back into our egg production module and we go back to analytics, we'll see our cost per egg has now gone up to 134 and it was on 109. Because now we're looking at the total investment this far, which takes into account, in this example, our feed and our housing costs, divided by our total eggs produced, give us our cost per egg. So this is a really, really cool segment as well. Our analytics then give us a whole bunch of data in terms of production trends. This is really nice for seasonal production trend comparison. We can then have a look at it on a monthly basis, weekly basis, year. We can do all chickens or individual chickens. We currently can't filter by chickens because our production records aren't by chicken, they're by all. And then at the bottom, we then have our cost breakdown in a nice little pretty graph, and then some data over here, which is your flock performance. And that's our egg production module. Pretty simple, really, really good, useful data, which will be able to give you year-on-year comparisons, so you can start making sure that your flock is always performing optimally. Then we have egg incubation. Some of you like to raise your own eggs, your own chickens. Some of you prefer to bring them in as day-olds or slightly older. But within this, you're allowed to fully manage all of your incubation tactics. You can do this by batch. So we have batch 1, batch 2. These are Rhoda and Reds. These are white leghorns. We have our set date, expected hatch date. We set 20 eggs. These were purchased, and this is the incubator we are using. This one in comparison is our own flock, and we have 12 eggs. To add a new one, you simply fill in the form over there. We can then do daily logs or logs whenever we feel like it. So if we go in here, we select a batch 1, today, temperature 36, humidity 7. We turned it 3 times. I'm just adding in these numbers for random. You'll be able to see batch 1 on this date. We turned it 3 times a day. And we can add our own logs in here. So should something go wrong, we could always come back and we can have a look at our daily logs. We can then do the same with candling. Once we slightly progressed further down the development stage, let's go batch 1 candling day. Let's go for 14. Date is today. We can say that there are 10 fertile eggs. There's 1 clear egg. Well, not 70, let's go 10. There are 7 developing. 1 is stopped, and 2 have blood rings. Let's create that. And we can see our candling record. And then as we add more records, we can start comparing these numbers over time. You can also just do that like I showed you via the form. Then we have our hatch results. Batch 1, batch 2, there's automatic percentage calculation. So if we record a hatch, we have our batch 1, batch 2. Our date, chickens hatched, 10, chickens unhatched, 6. So then we have a hatch rate over here, health status, which we can put in, intervention, and all of that shows up over here. We then have an average that is calculated, and then when we are looking at the specific batch, it'll show us whether the batch is above or below average. We can then update as well. So just some nice, really nice batches. We can then also have a look at filtering the numbers per batch. So if we have a look at batch 1, you can see it goes to red, 1.7% below average. Batch 2 is 1.7% above average. If we go back to all, then I'm just in a demo account, so it's not saving, but it would then show up all of our data over there. Then if we have a look at post-hatch, go there, create our batch, and this is just for what we're doing afterwards. Brooder placement, vaccinations, treatments, all of that, early mortality rates, where you can track any of those. So yeah, all in all, a pretty nifty little module within the animal management section should you be incubating your own eggs. The two very, very big modules within this module is dairy and meat production. So within dairy management, we have animal management, the same with meat. We have meat and we have our animals. And what we're doing here is we're logging them so that we have information, and we're also busy tracking them. So on dairy, we have Daisy and Lola. Daisy is active, Lola is dry. She's a Saanen and she's a Jersey. We can update, we can add, you can have tag numbers, status, you choose your preference in terms of volume and what type it is, goat, sheep, cow. There's not very many other things you want to milk before it starts getting a bit strange. But these are the three. Should you want to have any more, let me know and we can consider adding some more in there. Then we've got our production records, and much like the rest of the module, production records are grouped by animal. So we can see Daisy, because Daisy is active, Lola is dry. Daisy is currently in milk production phase, and on these 3 days, this is what the milk she produced, total liters, as well as the quality. If we add a record, there's a lot of information in here you can put in, but it's all optional. So we get our date, we can choose our animal, milking time, quantity, percentage, butter fat, the quality, what was it processed into, and your own notes. We can then filter by animals as well. Nothing for Lola, Daisy, or all. Our financials, the same as with egg production and everything else. Adding in your financial records over here will automatically pull it through into the financial cost tracker. And then it'll also pull it through into the analytics where you can see your total investment. And then jumping ahead into analytics, we can then pull in our production, total investment, and then we've got a cost per unit, which in our case would be liters. So this is 27 per liter, which is obviously absolutely ridiculous, but this is all just sample data. We can get peak days, how many this month, how many this week, cost breakdown by type. So we have food, housing, all of those things. And then we can track our production over time by all animals or by individual animals, which is quite nifty as well. And then further down, we have production, some more production number in terms of quality, what's the breakdown of production records for each quality stage, as well as how our active performers are busy producing in terms of averages and totals. Also a very, very cool module. Then meat production. So we have Henny and Bessie, one's a rabbit, one's a cow. They're both currently active and still going. From here, you can add health records and you can do weigh-ins. Weigh-ins you can do as and when you want. Some people like to very, very systematically track the weight progress of the animals. Some people aren't that fazed by it. But adding an animal is simply putting in the name, selecting the type over here, breed, tag, acquisition date. You'll see things are optional as well. If you add a health record from here, it's going to pop it into the health record section over here. And what we're doing is, let's just choose Bessie, our cow, and we just did a checkup. Treatment was nothing, cost was 10, and we just say routine checkup. Adding that record, and there we have Bessie with 10. Now, as per the rest of the application, you would have your health records by animal grouped. So all of your individual records will be tracked here. So we'll have a checkup, if she hurt herself, if she's had vaccinations, all of that will show up underneath this single cow with a total cost tally up at the top over here. Then the $10 over here for the checkup, if we head over into the cost tracker, there is Bessie routine checkup, animal health expense, $10. Then if we go back into meat production and we go into financials, it's also pulled through that into financials. So you can see the data is going into multiple places. And then on top of that, it's also pulling in through into analytics. And our total investment now includes that 10, which now starts impacting our cost per kilogram number over here, based on our individual cow's investment and its weight. Okay, then we have weight tracking. Weight tracking is very simple. You can see she started off small and now she's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And we have our weight records, which is simply by animal, and then optional notes and choosing our weight. Processing is ultimately, at the end of the day, once this animal is being processed, what is the cost? So here's the 1,200, which will pull through over there, which is also a big part of the total investment. And then what is the live weight, dressed weight animal in terms of the record? You can see it's all can be added over here. All of this data then feeds through into financials, feeds through into the analytics, and here we can see Bessie is, if I move my face over here, you can see 4 weights, 1 health, and she has been processed. And the cost per kilogram is $5. The weight gain overall was 280. Her current weight was 620 with a total cost of that. Pretty cool. And then you can also run some filters over here. And the filters here that we can filter by is all animals by a specific animal. So we can have a look at Bessie, or we can go by animal type and we can go cow. So if we go by rabbit, you can see there's nothing here because Henny has nothing is happening with Henny currently. So you can either filter your data by your your herd of cows, or you can do it by your specific animal and go one by one. That is up to you as well. We've catered for both types because some people might have 1 animal or 2, others might have a full flock. And that's why we're looking at categories in terms of rabbits, cows, sheep, goats, as well as the individual animals. And that is the meat production management module in as quick a cadence as I possibly can. This is a very comprehensive module. There's multiple forms of integration that are happening over here, which is created to make your life as easy as possible on the homestead, because managing animals is hard work, but analyzing the outputs of all your hard work shouldn't be hard. And this is where I'm hoping the Homestead Tracker really, really changes how you manage meat production on your homestead.